casual does not mean you get treated like shit, right? You should be treated with respect and care in these casual situations. And so if somebody's pushing up against a boundary that you have, find out why. If they're not willing to hold a boundary that you have.
You can go get dick somewhere else.
Yes. Yeah.
Period. Like,
welcome to Come Talk with Amy, the podcast where sex isn't whispered about, it's talked about out loud. I'm Amy, your host and intimacy coach, here to spark raw, playful, and unfiltered conversations about relationships, desire, and everything in between. No shame, no scripts, just real talk about what really turns us on. Let's dive in.
Hi, everyone. Welcome back to Come Talk with Amy. Welcome. It's a new year. We're so happy to be here. So excited for you guys to hear from our guest today, the amazing Jordan Donnell, pod host of Vaginas, Vulvas, and Vibrators, and physician assistant, fellow clinician. Love it. Total badass. So welcome, Jordan.
yes, thank you so much for having me. I'm excited to chat with you today.
I know. We cannot see, but I'm wearing your swag. So one of my favorite t-shirts of all time comes from Jordan, and it says, "Sorry I'm late, I was masturbating." You can see me in it all over my Instagram. So thank you for giving the people what they need, which is this shirt.
Yes, and thank you for representing. I know I love that one too. It's a little too cold for me right now to wear a t-shirt, so I'm more in my hoodie gear, but it's a fun t-shirt.
Jordan, before we dive into today's topic, tell our listeners a little bit about yourself and what you've been up to lately.
Ooh, what I've been up to lately. Well, I think the biggest, most exciting thing is that the Vaginas, Vulvas, and Vibrators podcast has been in a hiatus for about 15 months, and I'm finally bringing that back out. Really excited to relaunch that March 2026. That's probably the most exciting thing, but I currently live in Austin, Texas. I'm just living my best life, as they say. I saw a meme the other day on Instagram that was like, when people say they're living their best life, they're actually just out hoeing around. And I'm like, pretty accurate statement.
We love a fabulous hoe era, which is a fabulous and perfect segue to today's topic, which is casual sex. Specifically because, I have to point out that we're two women, obviously, Avi. We're also two clinicians, right? So Jordan's a physician assistant, physician associate, and I am a registered nurse and also a public health professional. So we come at it from that angle, and we're both also intimacy coaches, right? So and here we are to talk all things casual sex specifically for women, because I feel like casual sex for men is encouraged. It is the norm, it's seen as the norm for them, and yet it's highly stigmatized for women. Hello, who are the men having sex with, right?
It's so interesting because it's like the guys are always high-fiving each other, like, oh, I took home this girl last night. It's all like hoop, hoop, hurrah for them. Thankfully, in my friend group and the people I'm around, it's also hoop, hoop, hurrah. But a lot of times out in society, women are definitely there's a major double standard for women who are also enjoying pleasure.
Yes, absolutely. And before I guess at the start, how can we define casual sex that puts women's pleasure, desire, agency, and the goddesses that they are at the forefront?
Yeah. So I think casual sex is really just non-committal, non-relationship sex. To me, I think of it more as ethical non-monogamy, and that we're not monogamous with any individual, but we're ethical about it, in that there's conversations that are had, hopefully not too many assumptions that are being made, because that's where things go wrong, is when we start making a lot of assumptions, but just being on the forefront about what you are doing.
Yes, absolutely. Can we dive into some of the common assumptions that people often get into or make with casual dating? What are some that you've seen for yourself, your friends group, any clients that you've been working with?
Yeah. So I think for me, one of the biggest assumptions is that the other person isn't seeing anybody else. So I generally make the assumption they are seeing somebody else unless we have had a conversation about exclusivity, which here I am making an assumption, but I think that's a good assumption to make in that you expect non-exclusivity.
That is one of the biggest ones for sure. And I'm like you, I always assume that, and again, like we're talking about assumptions, but I just think that I go into casual sex and casual dating with knowing that if I haven't had a conversation with a person, and some people really want to know, are you seeing other people? They want to know details about that. I personally, I don't want to know about the other people. Like, that's not my business. If I was in a relationship with someone, because we talk about non-monogamy, if I have a core partner, then maybe that's a different situation. But the way that I operate currently is, I'm non-monogamous and I love to fuck and doing so intentionally. Yeah. And so anyone that I am fucking, I feel that they're fucking other people too, and I am okay with that. I think also another thing that I see is people getting themselves in situations that they're actually not okay with because they want to seek approval from the other person. But yeah, I think that one of the biggest things is really like being upfront with yourself, and you need to know your okays and how you're operating casually before dipping your foot in the pond, I think, or diving in.
Absolutely. One of the things that I kind of wanted to talk about today is like knowing your intentions. So what is the intention and purpose behind having casual sex? Wanting pleasure? Fuck yeah. There's a lot of good reasons to have casual sex. Sometimes we're just in a period of our life. Like for me personally, it's a transition period. I just got out of a relationship. I've got a lot of stuff going on personally. I don't have time to invest into a relationship. And so everyone has their own reasons and intentions for doing casual sex, but it's important to know that because at the end of the day, you don't really want to take a casual partner and force them into then being a partner.
Yeah.
And I see that happen a lot. And I've done it too, where you're like, oh, the sex is fire. Like this person I need to be in a relationship with, when you got together under the pretenses of it only being casual. You really need to know your why before you go into it.
And can you speak to some of the downsides of that approach?
I've done a podcast with somebody else years ago, kind of talking about this. And this is a very unpopular opinion, so brace yourself. But one of the biggest downsides of casual sex is that I find, for me, I guess in particular, that creating intimate connections in partnership can be really hard going forward. There is like this fine balance of how do you do this safely for yourself, like emotionally safe for yourself as well. And how can you comfort and care for yourself? Because that's really what this comes down to, is this isn't something you're doing with somebody. Like, yes, you're having sex with somebody, but you have to manage your own emotions and you have to manage your own body. I think that really paying attention to how this affects you emotionally, because it, for me, does make having future connections a little bit challenging.
That goes back to what you were saying with being intentional. I think that is so key, is ladies and the men too, but we're like talking to the ladies, be intentional, like find out like, what is my intention? We talk a lot in the sex space about yes, no, maybe lists. What are your yes, no's, and maybes when it comes to approaching casual dating and casual sex? And what are you willing to say, I'm going to see if this is okay and test the waters, versus like, that's an absolute no for me. I'm going to walk away from this person or the situation because it's not benefiting me.
Absolutely. And I think the other thing too that we have to think about is like, okay, what does aftercare look like when we're doing casual sex? Are we doing cuddling? Is cuddling can be highly emotionally challenging. Are we doing overnights? I've definitely noticed for myself, if I do overnights, like that changes. Adult sleepovers definitely changes the dynamic just a little bit. And so I think that's another thing, is like, okay, what am I okay with? Like, how do I make sure, again, putting my needs first? That's really kind of what this is you're prioritizing yourself and caring for yourself first. But how do I make sure that I am emotionally safe at the end of the day?
Yes, absolutely. And constantly checking in with yourself too, like, because it's all a lesson, right? Like, we're learning along the way. You mentioned situations too, like your situation may change or you may feel different. So that's for something that I found really helpful for myself, is to have like constant check-ins with myself. Is this the direction I want to go or whatnot? And I love that you brought up aftercare too, because so for me, like aftercare, cuddling, or a little bit, like I'm not gonna just get up and go unless time we know that we walk into the situation being like, this is a fast fuck, and like, you know, we have things that we need to get out and do. But I gotta cuddle. I'm like, if you're not cuddling with me, then, and it's not emotional, but it's just I need to be held, because we just experienced our body's doing this huge emotional huge hormonal release, right? And so that for me is so important. But I have, you know, I know other people that it's like, they're like, I don't want to cuddle. Other women who are like, I don't want to cuddle if I'm having casual sex, because for them it is emotional to cuddle and to be held after, which is interesting. So
I definitely like a 5 to 15 minute cuddle, like talk, but the overnight, that's what gets me.
The overnight is a different territory, because then, like, why do you feel like it gets you? Is it then it gets into like, what are we moving into? Like, speak a little bit more to that.
Oh, I think it's just like more intimate. Sex is intimate, right? But the other aspects are actually what is more intimate for me. And so like the whole overnight where you wake up together, you fuck again in the morning, because of course that's probably what we're doing. Exactly. Like that part I think is just more intimate than just coming over or going over to fuck.
Yes, doing breakfast, coffee, like, yeah, more cuddles, like the overnight cuddles too. And absolutely. So what I'm hearing is that that's a boundary for you.
Absolutely. And I do still break it sometimes. 100% I break it and enjoy the moment. But I do know that like, it's just, I do need to leave right after or shortly after.
Yes, absolutely. Knowing that for yourself, like knowing your, again, going back to like your own yes, no's and maybes. What other type of boundaries do you recommend for women who want to have really good, successful, casual sex ongoing?
Yeah. So I think everybody's different. You know, we've already touched on that. Like we all have different needs. One that I've seen and have used at certain points in my life is kissing. Kissing can be extremely intimate as well. And so some people who are hooking up will have zero kissing, which for some people that makes their sex quality decrease. And that's an important part of sex for them. So it really, I think, depends a lot about each individual.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think of what else. Do you have any other like boundaries that you've seen or heard of?
For me, communication is lubrication. I feel like that's, I don't know if, I mean, it is a bit like, I guess it's a boundary when I'm thinking about like ongoing. I have a fuck buddy who we've been fuck buddies for over 3 years, which is rare. Like that is like a very unique situation. And I have not successfully had that with anybody else for that same duration, but it works well for us because we walked into it having the conversation right up front. This is what it is. Our communication is matched. We're able to, like, we're both Tauruses, so it's like we can schedule 2 weeks in advance and we're not going to feel like, oh my gosh, they're like overpowering me, you know? It's like, no, this is just logistics and like, let's get it over. And then it's anticipation, and we'll message each other on holidays, like happy holidays. We have like a good script for how, when we get together and our aftercare as well. All of that to say, like, I think communication and the way that you handle communication. I don't know if that's necessarily a boundary versus a tool, but it is a boundary in that if people are communicating poorly with me, I will cut them off. If I feel like because protecting your peace, like I feel like in casual dating, I mean in any dating, but casual sex is so important. I love sarcasm. Everybody knows I'm very sarcastic on the show. But if it's demeaning in any way, like if they're like, even if it's casual, like, no. If you are passive aggressive, you know, playing games, like it's not, nope. Sorry, bye-bye.
Well, and I think too, you brought up a good point with like individual, like a one-time casual sex versus long-term casual sex, because the dynamics are going to be very different between the two. And there's
Yes.
going to be different needs, honestly, expectations for how that is handled.
Yeah. Can you delve a little bit more into that?
I'm trying to think about my recent one night stands. I think like for me, it's like a one night stand is very different than casual sex for me, because I feel like my casual sex partners are more long term. The most recent one, I mean, I've been having a great time, like I said.
Yes.
I've got one that's been like 3 months, like literally since
Right.
my ex and I broke up. And then I've had a handful of one night stands in there, but then also like somebody who's been around for like a month and somebody that's been around for like a month and a half. And
Mhm.
so I think it just kind of depends, and they both serve a purpose.
Yeah, they both serve a purpose for sure. How you navigate casual turning into long term versus wanting one person wanting casual and not wanting long term, and another person playing along with the casual game, hoping for long term.
Well, I think it's kind of loaded, because if somebody is playing along, I think that goes back to all of the things that we've been talking about: communication, intentions, intentionality behind the decisions. You can't control how somebody else moves. You can't control what the other person is doing. You can only control yourself. And
Mm,
so I think that for me, I think I'm probably the one that's more likely to do that in many of these situations where I'm trying to play along and eventually hope for a relationship. And my partners can't do anything about that, right? Like they have no say or control in that, but what they can do is choose to no longer participate when they see behaviors like that showing up. And so I think it's kind of hard to navigate, because sometimes it just naturally happens. When you're sharing such an intimate experience, shit just happens. Like we are also all human. Emotions are going to get involved. And when we think about casual sex, so often it's at a disregard of the other person's emotions. But the reality is, like, if you had a friendship, say you and I got into it and we decided to never talk again, there
mm,
is still some sort of emotional situation there. Whether you are having sex with somebody or not having sex with somebody, your platonic relationships and your intimate relationships, there is still emotion involved, period. And so I
yes.
think that we're forgetting about the fact that we're humans and we all have emotions, and like sometimes it's going to get a little bit messy, and it's how that we navigate that and how we talk through it is the most important thing. Does that answer your question? I feel like we kind of went on a big
Absolutely.
circle there.
No, absolutely. And like that's so key, because as you were talking, I was thinking of this question that I hear a lot in group chats is, how do I not catch feelings? It goes back to that control, right? Like we want to control the situation. We want to know the outcome. We want to be like, okay, I'll do casual dating if I don't have feelings. Or maybe people are hesitant to try casual dating because they're afraid that they will catch feelings, and which is like valid, but we're human. Emotions happen. Like we're having emotions about everything. I'm having emotions about if I'm standing in line for coffee and I'm waiting an extra minute or two, right? I think too, like some key things is, you mentioned, the other person can notice, right? So being open and recognizing the people that you're having sex with, and because men also, it sometimes the man is the one that wants to move the relationship forward and the female doesn't in a heterosexual situation. So one is like calling it out. So you can be a person that calls that out and either change your behavior and the dynamic, and or if you notice it for yourself or you're noticing it in another person, have a conversation. I find that people fear this conversations because of the fear of rejection, right? And I would love for people to get more comfortable with rejection and the possibility of rejection and approaching the possibility, because guess what? You might not get rejected.
Yeah,
And either way, you'll get clarity. Clarity sometimes is, because again, you can't control another person. Sometimes clarity is the other person is maybe very emotionally not able to handle the information and may cause more confusion, etc. But that's information in itself, right? If you have
absolutely.
a conversation, you have shared your part, then you can't control what the outcome is or what the other person is going to say, but like it's so valuable to be able to not assume and to listen to what the other person has, and also to like give them the opportunity to hear how you feel. Like huge.
Yeah, absolutely. And kind of made me think about like my most recent situation where we met a while ago. We had a one night stand. And after that, he was like, hey, look, I'm not looking for any sort of relationship. So I don't want to hold you back from going and getting that. And I'm like, oh, I'm also not looking for a relationship. And I was like, and if by dating you mean going to the sex club and everybody watching us fuck, then yeah, I'm down to date. But that's my definition of dating right now. So then fast forward, we continue seeing each other because we kind of determined that we're both available for the same things. And then recently he was like, I really think that you deserve more and whatever. But it was always very like open communication and very like, there's no like degrading the other person that's involved. And it's just listening to what the other person has to say, asking questions from curiosity, you know, like, why did this change? Or kind of what's your thought process? And so there are ways to handle it and navigate it gracefully without, you know, if somebody comes if you say something like that and all of a sudden they're like, I can't believe you, that's probably somebody that it's going to be really hard to navigate a casual sex relationship with. Your emotions are really important and valid. And so you don't want to be having a casual sex relationship with somebody who is treating you poorly either.
Yes, absolutely. Can we go into like some red flags and things to avoid when casually dating?
Yeah. So red flags, it's funny because I feel like often we run towards red flags. And it's hard because I think, oh man, I'm about to share some things, but I think that it's really hard because sometimes you may know who that person is, right? Like, or you may not know. These manipulators are sometimes so good at what they do that you will not know. And you'll be totally caught off guard and you couldn't have seen it coming. And I think that we need to, emphasize that is a possibility and happens a lot. There is somebody that I do see who definitely has all the red flags. He's on all of the T apps and are we dating the same guys? And the biggest thing is he's not honest about it. At this point, for me and him, he's pretty honest about it because he knows that it's not going to change anything. But I think that a lot of times there's this fear of rejection. So we don't tell the truth. We're not fully honest about what we're doing because we don't want to lose that person as a sexual partner because we enjoy our time with them. But I think one of the big red flags is just, I definitely check everybody on the T apps and are we dating the same guy, whatever city you're in, because you can get a little bit of insight from there.
Yeah. So what are some of these T apps?
Oh, the T app. You haven't heard about the T app?
No.
Oh my goodness. Let me show you. Hold on.
Spill the tea on the T app.
Oh my God. Okay. I'm going to have a hard time pulling it up without showing you way too much on my phone. But anyways, the T app is an app where you have to be, what do you call that when they verify? You're verified. It's verified that it's you, like with a driver's license, and you got to log in, I think, through Facebook, but you are able to look at all of these pictures, spill the tea on them. So you can put green flags for guys that that, are green flags. You can put red flags for men that like not so good. And then you can also comment and give your opinion. You can't take any screenshots on here. So it's very interesting. But this is actually how I found out that my ex was a master manipulator. And I had searched his name and happened to have found him. And the comment that somebody had posted was, he stays downtown popping bottles when he should be popping baby bottles. And I'm like, oh shit, a baby? What? The only child I know about is 18 years old. And that's when I learned about all 10 kids.
Okay.
So then I started having conversations with the other girlfriends and the baby mamas and all of these people. And you're able to get a lot of information on there as well, which sucks that you have to go about it. But because of the world that we're kind of in, you do also need some of these resources so that you can at least be informed. And if you choose to still fuck with somebody who, I hope I can swear in your podcast, who is on those apps, that's your choice. But you also know what you're getting into. And so you have to keep that in mind. So there's this other guy that's flying out in a few weeks who I know is all over the apps and things. But again, I call him out on it. I'm like, bro, you're posted on the apps again. What's going on? And I'm like, what's up? It is what it is when you come in to see me, but don't be a dick. Just don't be a dick. And also, once I'm done with him, I should be done with him.
There you go. See? And it's knowing knowing your own limits, knowing what you're okay with. And I love the apps. I know there are some Facebook groups that are similar to this. And I'm part of one for here in New York. And like, I actually love it. I need to go back on Facebook just to like check this group, especially for the holiday season. For my own entertainment. No, that's a terrible way to put it. No, but it's actually like so important because women are protecting other women and finding out that some people are saying one thing and doing another, and also just being safe, right? Knowing, because assault, sexual assault could be a thing too. So as women, we have these specific considerations and opportunity to like help each other out. For sure.
I'm on all of the like are we dating the same guy, Austin? Are we dating the same guy, San Diego? And I've dated quite a few men that have ended up on those pages after the fact. Let me make that very clear. Like, I discover it after. But one in particular, when I first moved to San Diego, there was probably about 200 comments. So then some girl slid in my DM. She's like, oh, you're the nurse that was tutoring him. And I'm like, first of all, I'm not a nurse. Second of all, there was no tutoring happening. But I guess she like met me in an elevator one time and she was like the attorney that was fucking him. Through this thread, somebody was like, oh, he pulled a gun, da 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 da. And like all of these like very, very concerning red flags where it's like, yeah, this is not safe for women, period. Yes. Yeah. And I think he had like a whole other girlfriend who worked nights. So during the day he was with her, and then at night he would have other people come over to their place. That was my understanding, but who knows?
Definitely do your due diligence. One other thing that you were talking about is, what are you okay with, right? Like, you can still know certain things and be okay with exploring casual sex with this person, right? If that's okay with you, and it's not, where it's not okay is when it's like wreaking havoc and causing you anxiety, other emotional upsets, and obviously physical harm, but we're definitely want to not be in those situations where physical harm, non-consensual physical harm is happening. But yeah, knowing, like, I have a person who I call my Achilles D, in the group chats and
I love that.
Right? And this person is not like, their red flag is not that they're not manipulative at all, but they're very emotionally unavailable. Best vanilla sex I've ever had, though. And the sex is like super passionate. Like, it's just really, really good. Like, we just connect really well. And I know when I have sex with him that I'm going to come away feeling a certain way, right? Even though I know it's casual, I know he's going to be like in the aftercare part, or as I'm leaving his house, see you soon, like, let's do this again sometime soon. Soon is, I've learned how to communicate with him, and I haven't seen him for a while, but I also know that it's the one person who I know and will give myself this grace that if he knocks on my door, if he sends me a text, if he sends me a DM and I want to fuck him, I will. And I know what care to give myself and what my expectations are before and after, right? I'm going to enjoy that fabulous sex. I'm going to enjoy like our conversations because we're connected intellectually a lot too. So I'm going to enjoy all of that. And I'm going to know what I'm getting myself into and what it's going to look like after I leave. And I know I might not see him for another couple of months or another year. Like, sometimes we've gone a year and it's been like, hi, how are you? Sliding in our DMs.
I definitely have had that. And I think there's also a little bit of like that subspace, right? Like, when you have such passionate sex where you quite honestly are like blasted off to another planet, which it sounds like in these experiences, that's kind of what's happening for you. Are we actually going into subspace and having that sub drop afterwards? And I've experienced that with some casual partners as well, where I learned like, okay, so I need to make sure that I am taking care of myself in this way the next day, because I know that I'm going to have a drop. I know that emotionally, like I'm just gonna, he fucking blows my mind. And at the same time, like he's not available to help support me through any of that. So I have to make sure that I know how to care for myself.
Huge. So, so huge. Because you mentioned subspace. Can you just talk a little bit about what that is for people who may not understand that term?
Yeah, it's definitely not my area of expertise.
Definition.
I totally just Googled it. Yeah.
Give us the Google definition.
A trance-like state some submissives experience during BDSM play.
Perfect.
And
yeah, trance-like state.
yeah, it says submissives, but I don't know that I'd necessarily agree with that. It's more of like just this trans-like state after such an elated state. And so when you're having just like really deep, passionate sex, like you just kind of zone out. Like you don't really know where you are, if that makes any... I think if you've experienced it, you understand. But if you haven't experienced it, it's one of those things where it's like, it doesn't make any logical sense until you're in it and you're like, holy shit.
Yeah.
But often after that, you have an emotional drop because you are at such an elated state that you emotionally just are depleted after. And that's what the sub drop is.
Yes, I was thinking of, Steph Zapata, because the same time, well, like we've been connected online for a long time, you and me, but the first time we met in person, she was also like at this event that we were at. So I had her on the pod, and this is like one of my favorite things that Augusta said. She's like, you can like see, like you can be taken to Saturn, like, like you can have orgasms so good that like I'm on the rings of Saturn right now, and I think like for people who are like, what are you talking about? Like that is such a great visual of like what you're describing. Yeah. Whew. And it is important to like care for like, again, we talked about aftercare for what that looks like with the person that you're having sex with, but what does aftercare look like? And also like foreplay and pre-care. I have a whole like pre-care routine when I'm going to a casual partner's place to take care of myself. Yeah.
Tell me about it. What is this?
Oh yeah, I will do like the full everything shower, like I'm putting on the outfit I'm wearing, the underwear that I'm wearing, the lingerie, like that is for me, that is not for them. I'm wearing what I feel good in. I'm wearing the perfume I feel good in, like the makeup, everything like that is for me. The music I'm playing to just put myself in a mood. And then I often like, I'm here in New York, I will often take a car too, because like I don't want to be on the subway. Like I want to feel fresh. I want to feel good. And afterwards, I usually also take a car because like, again, yeah, I just had this release of endorphins. So like that's part of my aftercare is like, I want to take a car. I want to like be a princess and be driven around. Yes, please.
Yeah. Okay, here's another like good boundaries question. Do you always go to them or do they come to you?
So I always go to them, but the reason is I'm a single mom and my space is also my daughter's space. I know a lot of people who are single parents who do not have this boundary for them. Like it's not a thing. For me, even when my daughter's not here, this is her space. And she's younger. Maybe when she's older, I'll feel different, but I go to them. And I know other women have different reasons, like they feel differently about that, but it's more situational for me where I'm like, yeah, my place, that is a boundary. That is a boundary for me. My place is off limits.
And I think that like we were just kind of going back to the boundaries, that is definitely one that everybody's a little bit different on. But I think that if you are always going to their place, that also puts you in a little bit more control and that you can leave when you want to leave. And so if you're like, yeah, we can't do overnights, well, guess what? You are in control to leave after the sex, leave after you're done cuddling. So I think that sometimes going over is great. My home, I also have kind of curated a very particular energy in my home, and I don't invite everybody into my home. And so I tend to generally go over there too. In the rare situation, can people come over? But for the most part, like I generally go over to them too.
Yeah, I love that. And also like, yeah, I have heard some women say that they feel like the man always wants them to come over. Like it's a low effort thing. So I can see in that situation, like if you are a woman who wants the guy to come to your house, like you're okay with that, that could be a filter, you know, for some people. That's something that I've heard people say before too, is like, they're like, oh, he's not making an effort to come to me. I'm always having to go to him. Like that's a no for people, right? Where I'm like I'm like, I love going to their place. Works out well for me. I have more control. I know when I'm coming. I know when I'm leaving. Like, bye-bye. This was fun.
Exactly.
And yeah, the act happened not in my personal space.
Which, again, everybody's so particular about their own boundaries,
Yes.
but if your personal space is something that is very sacred to you and you don't invite people into it, then bringing people to your home is probably not the best choice.
Yeah, absolutely. Before we wrap up, I would love to chat about, going back to the societal way that women are viewed in casual sex. Like, how can women break those barriers? Like, what are things to make them feel badass, empowered, given permission to have casual sex and feel fucking good about it?
I think, the biggest thing is like pleasure is the point. So do what makes you happy, period. And fuck everybody else's opinion.
Yes, pleasure.
Yeah, I mean, to me, it's that simple. Like, fuck what everybody else thinks. Like, are you having a good time? Do you feel good with what you're doing? Are you happy with your choices? Period. That it's for you.
Yes, I love that. Center yourself in the situation, not the other person. As women, we grow up when we're little, we get this from a young age as girls in society that we're here to serve the man. We're here to not make them feel uncomfortable, right? Like we're here to caretake. No. All of our conversation, this whole conversation we've had is how do you feel, right? Like you are the center of this. You are in control of what are your boundaries? What are your yeses? What are your nos? What are your maybes? What are your boundaries? Like it is very individualistic. What we're sharing may be different boundaries than what you have, but knowing yourself, knowing what you want to get out of the experience, and that may be partner specific. What I get from one casual partner is not what I'm looking for with another. You mentioned play partners too, right? Like having sex in a play space, right? And so that's, I also like love parties and the play space, and that's different than what I'm seeking when I'm going to somebody's house. Or, I mentioned my partner that I've had for over 3.5 years. Our dynamics are different than somebody that I'm sleeping with once or twice. And that's okay. And I love all of the different aspects of it. Like sky's the fucking limit. As long as you protect your peace, you know your fucking worth, and you own that.
Absolutely. The one thing we didn't talk about throughout all of this, we talked about emotional safety and we talked about caring for ourselves, but we didn't talk about physical safety. Like,
okay, yes, so important.
STIs, condoms,
Hello?
pregnancy prevention, kind of a big part.
Let's bring that in. Very, very important. We need that clinical piece too. I mean, not clinical, like it's a safety piece. It's being safe and so important in casual dating.
It is.
So take us there.
Well, and we say safe, but I think that like the biggest thing is that like all sex has a risk, period.
Yes.
And that there is no such thing as safe sex. It's risk mitigation and safer sex. What are we doing to minimize our risk? And what does that look like? Which I think can be different partner to partner. I think it can also be something that ebbs and flows. Condoms, barriers are definitely going to be like your number one way to protect yourself against STIs. However, communication is probably the number one way to protect yourself from STIs. And having conversations about when was the last time you were tested? What were you tested for? Because the standard panel varies across so many different platforms based on your provider, based on, did you do online testing? Because those tend to be a little bit more extensive and cover a lot more things and be more cost effective. Yeah, I think it comes down to communication, barriers, if that is something that feels good for you. You may also choose like, hey, I don't use barriers. You and your partner may choose, we don't use barriers together, but maybe we do use barriers with anybody else out of respect for our casual sex relationship. Because it is a relationship. Yeah. Even though like we call it casual sex, it's still a relationship to some degree. I think that if you take anything away from that, I think that's the most important thing to take away is it's still a relationship. There are still emotions. There are still that human feeling in casual sex. And to not forget that, like, we're fucking human too.
We're fucking human. And also, I would add to that, like preparation as well. I always have condoms on me. I always have
Mm.
condoms of different sizes because how many times have we heard, oh, this isn't the right size for me, or oh, I don't have condoms. That's no problem because I do, right? And I also, one of my other hacks too is I will text the person, like we've set up, we're getting together. I will text them because I also like, yes, I have the condoms, but like it is not my penis, right? And I'm not the person wearing it. And so I like the men to choose out their own condoms. So I will text them and say, hey, do you have like, please get the condoms you like, or do you have condoms? Like a quick check-in, doesn't have to like, and that also especially if it's the first time we're having sex, like it sets that precedence, like this is an expectation that I have that we will be using this. Also, if you are having these conversations, whether it's condom, STI testing, this person is hesitant and resistant, like find out why, right? Because that is really, really important. And knowing like in all of this, like you want to be with people just because casual does not mean you get treated like shit, right? You should be treated with respect and care in these casual situations. And so if somebody's pushing up against a boundary that you have, find out why. Again, it goes to that rejection. Like if this may not be the person for you, it may not be the fit for you if they're not willing to hold a boundary that you have.
You can go get dick somewhere else.
Yes. Yeah.
Period. Like there's dick everywhere. I mean, if that's what you're looking for, right? I mean, but there are other people to have sex with. So if that person isn't willing to honor your boundaries, somebody else will. You know, we talked about red flags, but I think a big green flag for me is a partner who pulls out the condom, who doesn't have any resistance, who is prepared. Like I have one, my kind of my main Austin partner, like that's one of the hottest things. Like he always has it. There's no questions asked. I don't have to initiate shit and he handles it, which I love. And a red flag would be the exact opposite. Like I ended things with somebody because we used condoms, then we didn't use a condom one time. And then the next time I was like, hey, we need to use a condom. And he was like, well, I'm not flip-flopping. You can't flip-flop. You can't go back and forth. He wasn't willing to even listen to why I changed my mind. But the reason why was because I was ovulating and I don't want a child. So you are going to wear a condom. Yeah. So I ended it literally over that because you're not willing to even hear me out. Respect. And you're not willing to honor my boundaries and needs. Fuck that. There are lots of other men that will give me the dick.
Yes. And like also, I think this is another thing that's different for women than men. It's much more easier for women to enter casual relationships than it is for men, even though it's like more seen as common for men. Like men are more open to casual relationships than women are. So if you're a woman who wants to get the D and be casual and be out in the streets and ho ho ho, like yes, you go. You get to be selective. You get to be fucking selective.
You do.
More than men do.
Yeah, I've talked with a lot of men about this, and I have a ton of guy friends. And the thing is for men, they often have to do some type of courting process, and that it's a lot of work and a lot of investment for them. And they still may not get the sex at the end of the day. Yeah. And so for them, it's way more challenging. We're like, a woman, we can walk into the bar and we can find somebody to take home if we wanted to at every single place that we went to, if that's what we wanted to do. Where I think for most men, that's actually not the case. And that many nights they go home alone, not by choice.
Yes, absolutely. And we love our male listeners out there, like definitely you need to have standards too. I'm not saying that putting that down, like all of this applies to you as well from your context, but like just to say like women, again, going back to that fear of rejection, like get comfortable with it. Get comfortable rejecting, not just being rejected, but like get comfortable with rejecting and saying, this is not for me. Bye-bye.
Ooh, you're going to love this. I started a thing for like dating this year, and basically anytime I identify a red flag and I end something, I buy myself a present, and I have a list of presents that I'm buying because it's just like that positive reward for ending something that it needs to end.
Yes. Oh my God. I love that. Yes, reward yourself. You are queens, you are goddesses, whatever word feels good for you. Jordan, this has been amazing. We're so excited to hear about how you casual date, or are there tips and tricks that you have for others, that for those who are listening in that we did not get to today, that you want to share? Like, put it in the comments. Hello, right?
I think we covered everything pretty well.
So Jordan, before we wrap up, we love to come to completion here at Come Talk with Amy, which is AKA the rapid fire round. How do you feel about that?
I feel great. Let's do it.
Let's do it. Okay, so casual sex is healthy when, fill in the blank.
You know your intentions.
All right, casual sex stops being healthy when?
Your boundaries are not being honored.
Okay, one green flag in a casual partner.
For me, green flag would be condom use with no resistance.
We love that. Condoms are sexy as fuck. So is lube. Just putting that out there. All right. One red flag people ignore because chemistry is hot.
All of them. All the red flags we ignore.
Oh my God, it's so true.
It's true. If you got good dick, I'm sorry. For whatever reason, all red flags become pink.
We become like red flag capturers. Like, I'm going to get this one. I'm going to get this one. Yes. Okay. But we've talked a lot about how to mitigate that here. Okay. The biggest lie women are told about casual sex.
I think the biggest lie women are told about casual sex is that your pussy gets worn out, or that like men can know if you have multiple partners. They don't know shit. They can't tell.
No. And I've had a baby. And I thought, like, I literally was like, nobody's going to want to have sex with me. After I left my relationship, nobody's going to want to have sex with me. I'm stretched down there. You know, I wasn't having good sex in the relationship, so was not a good indicator. Oh, yeah, no, like, and I've actually had people say to me, I can't believe a baby came out of this. Like, you're so tight. And I'm like, okay, cool. But that's hot for them, right? But yeah, they can't tell. No. That's a total mind fuck for what we've been fed. So one boundary that makes casual sex hotter.
For me, I feel like it's the no overnights is probably gonna be the best thing that makes my casual sex better.
Yeah, I think it's such a good boundary. And we didn't really get into like the difference between fuck buddy, friends with benefits, situationship, which that's a whole other thing. But I think too, like, I don't know, we didn't get into that, but that was just coming up to me. Like, some people who are like friends with benefits, like they may be like, you're my friend, you can stay over. I don't know yourself again. Yes, but that's a huge boundary for me too. Okay, finish the sentence. Casual sex gets better when you
Come.
Yes. Absolutely.
That's why we're there, right? Pleasure's the point. We are here to have a good time and come.
Yes. And like centering pleasure at that, right? Like whatever pleasure looks like for you, it should be a pleasurable experience where you need to be getting pleasure out of this. Like, hello, like hallelujah. Yes. Jordan, this is amazing. Everyone, as you can see, if you are not yet following Jordan and listening to her podcast, definitely go and follow it to hear so much more goodness. So excited that you're bringing it back in March. Of course, she has, 4 years of podcasting already, right? For them to go and listen to at the get-go and to prepare for what is dropping in March. Yes?
Absolutely. Yeah. About good 4.5 years of content.
Amazing. All right. Before we wrap up, Jordan, where can people find you?
Yeah. So the best place to find me is going to be on Instagram at Jordan Donnell, which I'm sure that's going to be tagged in the show notes for you. I won't bother spelling it out for you here. That's really the best place to find me. And then you can find the podcast on anything that you listen to podcasts on, Spotify, Apple, you name it, it is there.
Yes. Yeah, we'll definitely have that in the show notes. Amazing. Go enjoy casual sex, know yourself, put up those boundaries, and have fucking fun. And go and come. As we like to say here at Come Talk with Amy, remember to masturbate, lubricate, and get ate. And as always, thank you for coming. Please come again, and come again.
Amen.
That's all for today, lover. Remember to masturbate, lubricate, and get ate. If you liked this episode, share with a friend, like, subscribe, and As always, thank you for coming. Please come again, and come again.